Hi. We made it to another Monday night. Well, I hope everybody had a great weekend. Mine was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Hey, Rosemary. Were you camping this weekend, Miss Rosemary? I thought about you. Oh, won't be too much longer for camping weather, I guess. Of course, here in Richmond, it's still a little bit hot. Hi, Alyssa. Thanks for hopping on. I'm going to talk about a topic near and dear to my heart tonight. Hi, Bernice. Stress. Nobody has that in their lives, do they? Oh my gosh. I was talking to my friend Barbara today, and we were just talking about, I was sharing about the tremendous weekend for my book launch and how great it was and how busy I was and how exciting. And she is having she has a new partner that she's taken on for a line of jewelry with her jewelry business, our friend Lisa. And we were just talking about how we're both so busy. Yes, it's 8:30 already, Jill. Welcome back from vacation to the real world time. And we were just saying, is good stress bad for you? And of course it is, if it goes on for too long. But let me just start. For those who might not know me, I'm Mary Moss. I live in Richmond, Virginia. I'm an author and a speaker. And during the daytime, during my non-dream life, I'm an administrator for a transportation project here in town. And I just released my second book, which was just so thrilling. And I had a huge launch. My coach really stepped up and threw a big deal for me, which I really appreciated. And I had so many friends and family members chime in and help make it a success and a really special thing. But understandably, when there's a lot of activity going on, especially extra activity, there is stress. And honestly, most of the day, I didn't really know what I was going to talk about. A lot of times I'll know a few days ahead of time. But today I didn't, and I don't know if it's because I'm so dang sleep deprived that my brain wasn't working, or just because I hit the ground running at work and didn't really have time to think about it. But stress is, it's everywhere, and everyone that I talk to has been talking. Hey, Logan, thanks for hopping on. Hey, Cynthia. Everyone has been talking about how stressed they are. So I just thought, okay, I'm going to just do a little bit of research. I have a lot of intuitive, things to share, but I thought, I'm going to go find an expert and see what they have to say. So I found a really awesome article. I saw, Amy, I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to hear your feedback. Amy just got her copy of my book today. So that's really exciting. So this article that I found on stress was really interesting, and I wanted to share it with you. And then I'll, as I usually do, I have a couple of resources for you. So let me ask you a question, and I'm going to pause a minute because I hope you all will give me your guesses. So what percent of what we worry about never happens? Do you all have a wild guess? I'd love for a couple of you to chime in. What percent of everything that you worry about never even happens? What do you think? Anybody have a wild guess? I know there's a little bit of a delay. I was shocked. But then, good guess, Amy. Good guess, Joe. Y'all are pretty close. Amy was spot on. It's 85% according to this author. 85% of what we worry about never happens. mean, just think about that for a minute. I think for myself about how much time and energy I waste worrying about things that are probably never going to happen. I'm famous for it. Hey, Marty. So the gentleman's name is Don Joseph Goway, and he's written a few books, but he specifically has one on stress, and I'll share the book title with you, and I'll give you a link. I haven't read his book, but I liked the article, and I liked his sense of humor, and I liked that he doesn't try to get too super scientific or too out there. Just real matter of fact and down to earth and practical. He offers some ways to kind of reprogram your brain to not have stress be your fallback, or to stop stress in its tracks before it takes over. Yeah, it really, yeah, if we consider the odds, it puts things in a lot different perspective. So Mr. Goway talks about a French philosopher who lived 500 years ago. His name was Michel de Montaigne. And one of his famous quotes is, "My life has been filled with terrible misfortune, most of which has never happened." And I thought, oh, that could be me. That could be me, because I do have a reputation of being a bit of a worrywart about things. And that speaks to a larger issue that I'll get into in a minute. But there actually have, obviously, as you know, there have been so many studies done, but on stress and the effects that it has on its subjects. So in this one study that he referenced, they had people write down what they were stressed about over a long period of time, and then would follow up with them and ask them, okay, hey, Ann, what percent of what you worried about actually happened? And that's where that 85% figure came up with. But it's even better than that, because he said of the subjects that worried about, all right, that the 15% that had the thing they were worried about happen, 79% of those 15 discovered either they could handle the problem better than they expected, or it taught them a lesson. So that means that really 97% of what we worry about is nothing more than what he calls it, the fearful mind punishing you with exaggerations and misperceptions. It was just like, okay, I don't even need to read anymore. Hey, Wendy Sue, how are you? I mean, just stop and think about that. So really, it's 85% overall, but 97% are not even worth the worry and stress. So about 3% of the things that we actually think are going to be devastating and negatively impacting our life really happen. I don't know what the odds are for winning the lottery, but it sounds like around that. And that's not to say bad things don't happen and we worry about our kids and about relatives and the state of the world. But most of the things that we worry about every day, they just suck the life out of us. Yeah, it is powerful. So what he talks about is why stress is so bad, is the stress hormone and what it does. And again, I was chatting with Barbara earlier on the way home from work, and we were talking about this. People with autoimmune diseases, it really can cause a flare-up of that, because it just puts a stress on your body. And they're saying that stress has been linked to shrinking brain mass, lowering your IQ, which, oh my goodness, I don't need mine any lower, being prone to heart disease, cancer, premature aging, marital problems, family dysfunction, and clinical depression, and making seniors more likely to develop dementia and Alzheimer's. I was like, okay, that is reason enough to get a grip on the stress in my life, and get back on track to remembering why I don't need to be quite so stressed. It's not easy, though, is it? Yeah, I thought it was fascinating, Joe, because I thought, well, yeah, I know stress isn't good for you, but I didn't know it had all of these really impactful things that it could do to you over the long term. And it's not just occasional stress, but long-term sustained stress, which a lot of people live in that constant state. And sometimes it's because of the situation that they're in their life and they can't help it. But a lot of times that's not the case. So what he talks about is how we can reprogram our brain, how we can put a stop to our brain. He says within 6 weeks you can completely reprogram your brain to cut stress off immediately in its tracks. So maybe, if you want to check out his book, it might be worth it. But he has a tool that he calls a clear button. And he says that what you do is you imagine that in the center of the palm of your hand, you have a button. And you press it and you count to 3. And you think each number as a color. So 1 is red, 2 is blue, 3 is green. I'll put this in the comments if you like. And so what he says you do is you breathe in and count 1 and think of the color red and breathe out. Then you breathe in, count 2, think of blue. Breathe in, count 3, and think green. And he's saying on the exhale that you should try to just not think of anything. Yeah, I'll put that in the comments because I think it's helpful. And what studies have shown is that it only takes 90 seconds. It only takes 90 seconds to make our brain stop being worried and to start being, Amy, yes, to be more mindful. And I mean, because you can do that anywhere. You don't need any special equipment or tools. You don't need a yoga mat. You can be anywhere. And if you just press and after a while, I imagine that just pressing your finger in the middle of your palm is going to be enough to stop that stressful reaction in your body and to bring you back to a better state of mind. So I'd love to hear from you all. I'm definitely going to try it because I've been a little out of control lately with the worry and the stress. So I tried this a few times today and, I think it helped. Now what he says is that the reason this clear button works is because, and this is why I really enjoy this guy. He said the part of the brain that causes stress reactions literally has the intelligence of a toddler. And every parent knows that you don't stop a tantrum by appealing to a child's logic. You distract the child. And this tool distracts the terrible 2-year-old in your brain from causing you to run off the deep end. And so I love the way that he paints pictures with that as he's describing it. So if you think of your brain, as a toddler that you cannot reason with, you have to distract them, give them something to take their mind off of whatever it is that is causing their meltdown at the moment. And it's the same way with our brains. That deep, ancient part of our brain that never developed beyond that. And part of that is part of the stress as a survival mechanism, back in caveman days, when they needed to have their body on high alert, that old flight or fight. And we've evolved to the point where we don't need that anymore, but our bodies evolve very slowly and our brains even more slowly. So it's not doing us any favors. I looked up, I knew there were quite a few, but I looked up how many verses in the Bible there were about worry or stress. And it said at least 25. I know there are more than that, but 25 that probably actually use that word. I'm all about using the Bible as a resource for how to live our lives. So, if you're so inclined, that is one way that we can also counteract stress. And sometimes if I'm so upset about something, I can't even pray, I will just recite one of these verses. And again, I'll share a link in the comments to a list of 25 Bible verses about worry and anxiety and what the Bible says. And I'll share 2 real quick, and then I'm going to talk about another little something else that you can do that will help. The first one is from the Old Testament, from Isaiah. It's Isaiah 41:10, and it says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." That's always been one of my favorites. I just love that, and I find great comfort in that. And if you don't just take a deep breath as you're reading that and just breathing in the peace that gives you, then you're missing the point. I really recommend that. Another great one, this is, I think, my all-time favorite one, from John 16:33. "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world." That one is easy to memorize, and I've had that taped up all over the place. It was Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10. And both of these are in, you can find both of these in that article with the link that I'm going to put in the comments. And then John 16:33, that's right. That's the one, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world." That to me, that does. It just makes you take a deep breath and remind me of my place in the grand scheme of things, and remind me of who's really in charge of worrying about everything. So we've learned that we can trick our terrible 2-year-old primitive part of our brain that goes into hyperdrive when we're under stressed. And like I said, I'll share a link with the 25 scripture that talk about worry and stress. And then there was another really fun quote that he shared. Ralph Waldo Emerson, everybody's probably at least heard of him. He was an American philosopher, and he wrote her a short little verse called "Finish each day and be done with it." And apparently his daughter had done something that she was worried about, and the advice that he gave her is this: "Finish each day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders, losses, and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. Let today go so you can begin tomorrow well and serenely, with too high a spirit to be encumbered with your old nonsense. Each new day is too dear, with its hopes and invitations, to waste a moment on yesterday's." Isn't that beautiful? Oh my gosh. When I read that, I had to just read it over several times. What he suggests is cut that out and put it where you need to. The author said that he has it framed on his desk so that he sees when he leaves the office for the day, he's reminded to leave all of that there in its rightful place. And I think, put it on your bathroom mirror as you're brushing your teeth and getting ready to go to bed at night. Why not read that, or even say it out loud to yourself, to just kind of calm yourself down. I have trouble at settling down at night. My brain does not shut off easily. And especially when I'm excited or have a lot going on. I think I'm going to have to start reading this to myself to just kind of help me bring things back into, the right realm. So, yes, it does, Jill, a lot of the sign walking into Disney. Yeah, Barbara, put it on the nightstand. Exactly. We have a place, either in our offices or in our homes, maybe more than one place, where we could put that up, and it would really help us just kind of bring things back. Take a deep breath and be calm and still, and let that stress go, because we don't need anything else beating up on our bodies or our minds. So I don't really have a whole lot more. It's not real long tonight. I'm super tired, but super excited about everything that's going on. And when I found this information on stress, I just really wanted to share it with you because it seemed, especially like it's back to school time for families. And even though everybody's excited, I know that it's always stressful because everybody's changing their schedules, and sometimes kids have to change daycare, or there's just so much going on in the world, and it just seems like times all over are especially stressful. So I just thought this would be really timely right now and just kind of help us in our own little piece of the world deal with everything that's going on around us. So thank you all so much for joining in. I always love seeing your comments and getting your feedback. And if there's a stressed person in your life that you think could use this, please share it with them. We need to help our friends out as much as we can. So thanks everybody. I hope you have a good rest of the night and a good week, and I will talk to you soon.